Hi, welcome to the Lawyer Diaries podcast. I'm Erica Whitaker, and I am a co-founder of Redwood Legal Search and a graduate of University of Chicago Law School. I'm joined with my fantastic co-host and fellow co-founder, Becca Rodriguez.
Hi, I'm Becca. I'm also a lawyer turned recruiter, co founder of Redwood, and co host of this wonderful podcast. Erica, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. I feel like this is my favorite time of year. I love fall. Fall is just the best season ever. So I don't know, I'm feeling cozy, I'm excited for Halloween, and this is typically a really busy time for recruiting.
Yeah, it's crazy how I feel like the fall switch just like flips one day. And then now I'm like, oh my God, it's fall outside and it's starting to get like chillier in the morning. So I'm curious if are you an iced coffee girl?
I love iced lattes, like, that is my absolute favorite drink. I make them all the time. But yes, I'm an iced coffee girl.
Do you drink iced coffee year round or are you like do you switch to hot when it gets cold?
No, this is such a good question because this is not a deliberate thing that I like thought through, but I would say about 2 weeks ago, I've just started drinking hot coffee every day. No longer like summer when it's really hot, I religiously am drinking iced lattes, but then recently I have switched over to hot coffee.
Yeah. I have a bottle of iced coffee that I'm like finishing and then I think I'm gonna do the full switch to cappuccinos on my little like a Breville Nespresso thing. Um
Yes. Are cappuccinos your hot drink of choice?
yeah, yeah, I think so. I just love the foam. I love the
Yeah.
ratio. Don't like too much milk.
Yeah, my husband, cappuccinos are, like, his absolute favorite thing, like, he loves cappuccinos.
Yeah,
I like lattes and, like, normal coffee with a little bit of almond milk, but, I've never been that into cappuccinos, but they're good, they're really good. He likes the foam too.
love
He
with
likes
like
the foam
cinnamon.
milk. Yeah, yeah.
So
Mhm.
good. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Um, whenever my iced coffee bottle is done. But I guess I can start whenever. Anyway, today we are talking about whether you should go through a friend when you're applying for a big law lateral position. This is a very common question and I would say a hot topic. I think there are a lot of misconceptions because it seems pretty intuitive, right? That if you have a friend refer you, you're just going to have a better shot. And maybe in other industries, that's the case. But I think today we kind of want to talk about why it's not.
Mhm. Mhm. And I would say even in other industries, I live in Silicon Valley, so there's a lot of big tech companies here. Friend referrals are really only helpful in startup environments or small companies. At FANG companies, I think they're pretty negligible. I don't think they help your candidacy. I don't know if they hurt your candidacy. But you're not going to get a job because a friend referred you. You're going to get a job because you were qualified for it in the first place. Unless it's a startup where, like individual interpersonal relationships are really meaningful because there's only 20 people.
Yeah. So I think there's like three or four things that you need to consider. And I'm not phrasing this as pro con because you take the information as you will and apply it to your situation. But these are just things to consider when you are deciding if you should go through a recruiter, well, I guess not self apply. It's really like recruiter versus referral in this conversation. And the first thing is that your friend is not your advocate at the firm, right? The way a recruiter is, it's a recruiter's job to keep tabs on your candidacy as things progress um, throughout the process. It is not your friend's job. Your friend, you know, I don't even know how involved they will be. When we were going through the process ourselves, like applied to a few firms via referral, and it was as simple as just putting someone's name in the portal. That person was not emailing, the head of recruiting to, like, tell them what a great candidate I was. They were not checking in on the status of my application. They weren't drafting my cover letter. So, that's something to note.
Right. They are going to, like you said, the process is typically putting your friend's email address into a portal. And then that friend gets an email where they're like, oh, you've been referred, apply here. And then you submit your application. It is not involved. It's not an involved process at all. And yeah, huge difference is they're not as invested in your candidacy as a recruiter that you're working with will be, if it's a good recruiter, that is. Um, Recruiters, at least for us, we follow up with our firm clients, every 3 to 4 days to get updates. We remind them constantly this person, you know, they're waiting to hear back. They want to get an interview scheduled, etc.
Right,
Your
or
friend
it's
is
their top choice, they remain interested. Um, your friend's not gonna do that, and then further down the line at the point of an offer stage, your friend's not gonna negotiate, for you, right? So, those are things to keep in mind. I think Whoa, was there anything else to say on this point? I don't wanna, like, veer too off to our other points yet, but
no, exactly. Like your friend is not going to advocate. And I do think that this leads us to our next point that we think is really important. If you decide to work with a recruiter for your lateral process, your recruiter, if it's a top recruiter, most of us, we really prefer to work with people on a mostly exclusive basis, meaning that we are the ones who have control over your lateral process. And with that, that means that we want to be the ones to present your candidacy to firms, every firm that you're applying to. And that just means that we will have control over interview scheduling, over negotiation once you get to the offer stage. And it makes the process a lot more seamless. And we have found that it leads to the absolute best results for our candidates. Um, our successful candidates work with us on an exclusive basis. And that's how most top recruiters, that's how most of them have their process set up.
yeah.
And it's just based off of mutual trust. And when you start to incorporate friend referrals, it can make the process a lot more messy because now that recruiter that you've been working with, they don't have they don't have inside knowledge over how your candidacy at that one firm that your friend referred you at is going. They can't follow we're not able to follow up with that firm for your candidacy if your friend referred you.
Yeah, so, like, just to be clear, let's say you are working with one recruiter who's submitted you to 6 places, and then there's, like, 2 places that you've had referrals. That recruiter you're working with on the other searches will not be in charge of your candidacy at those firms that you used a friend for, right? So, they can't check in, they're not gonna negotiate. Just to, like, clear that up, and that also means that, like Erica was saying, they don't have insight, but also they can't really act as your agent in the negotiation phase, right? So the way we practice recruiting is more of like a talent agent type um relationship where the talent is our candidate and we are able to kind of take all of the offers that they have and talk to each firm like, well, this is what they're thinking here. Oh, they got this much money from this person. If you want to be competitive, maybe throw in a signing bonus or up whatever. Oh, they really care about, not being able to work from home 2 days a week, whatever it might be. Your recruiter can't do that for you at a firm where they didn't present you at, right? So then you're the one having to go to the firm and say, oh, well, this firm is giving me this much money. And that's not always the most comfortable thing, right? It's just easier if you have an agent speaking on your behalf and doing the negotiating for you. Oh, and I think there was
Exactly.
also, like, something we wanted to clear up too. There's this belief that if you apply through a friend or self-apply, like, you'll get more money because the firm doesn't have to pay a recruiter. That's not true. That's not always the case.
Absolutely not. We've seen firms give huge signing bonuses when working with us, and then a candidate who self-applied to one role, that firm knew of the signing bonus and still did not give one. So that has definitely happened on more than one occasion. And when candidates apply through us, what we can do is if a firm is really interested in you and another firm is given a generous signing bonus, we can tell the firm that's interested in you, this is the offer they've received. If you want to be competitive, we recommend matching that. And generally they will, because they're interested and they do want to be competitive. With the firm that you're self applying to, you're the one navigating that relationship on your own, that negotiation on your own. And it can be challenging because, like Becca said, that is a lot easier coming from your agent, a third party, and not coming from you as the candidate. Um, and also, there's a lot of it can be very helpful if your recruiter has a lot of insider knowledge about the individual practice group, the types of offer the firm typically has, and how firms generally react when negotiations happen, because it can be kind of a delicate process. And you, as a candidate, this is your first time going through this with a firm. For us as recruiters, it is definitely not our first time. And these are our clients. So we have a lot of knowledge about them and we can just handle that process in a far more professional manner, especially for a candidate because we are advocating on your behalf. Whereas when you are doing that on your own, you're advocating for yourself and it's just a little bit different. And I think a third point that we wanted to mention is if you go through a friend, your candidacy is now tied to that friend's reputation at the firm. So, we all have friends working at firms, and if their reputation is not the best, they are probably not going to be honest about that. And they may not even know. Like, that definitely happens. They may not be aware. So, if someone who has a bad reputation, who doesn't do good work, who doesn't show up, who the firm is already kind of like, do we want them here? Refers you, and you are a stellar candidate, it is definitely going to hurt your candidacy. And we have seen this more than once. So that's something to consider is what is your friend's reputation like? And you should also consider don't take your friend's word for it at face value because they may not be aware of what their reputation is, or they may not want to admit to their circle that they are doing poorly at work.
And also, like, on a similar vein too, I would just, like, for those same reasons, when your friend tells you, like, "Oh, my firm is so awesome," or "My team is so great and everything's fantastic," you're like, "Oh, I wanna apply to this firm and I wanna go through them." You don't really know the dynamics just hearing that from one person, even if they're your best friend and you trust them, like, you just don't know.
Exactly, and that is their experience. Like, a lot of people they have a friend in corporate, and they're in technology transactions, and at this firm, it's 2 different groups, and they're using that friend in corporate as a referral. That is not going to help you because they don't have connections with technology transactions. They probably don't have that much information about the technology transactions group. And now, if you want to work with a recruiter, that recruiter can no longer present you. So you don't have someone advocating for your candidacy every week at this particular firm. And if that's the case, and there's other candidates who are as good as you, and they have a recruiter who has knowledge of the firm and has placed at that firm and is continuously advocating for their candidates, your candidacy could very well be overlooked because your friend is not over there advocating and thinking about your candidacy every day, whereas a good recruiter is.
And
And
referrals
yeah,
aren't free for the firm.
No, they have to pay a referral fee to that associate who referred you. Um, so we will say that, all of this is kind of talking about an associate referral. If you have a partner referral and you're very close to a partner at a firm, now that can really, really boost your candidacy. Firms tend to take partner referrals far more seriously than associate referrals. So if you're getting a referral from a partner who knows about your work, who you trust, and who has an amazing reputation at the firm, that can definitely boost your candidacy. And if you're working with a recruiter, tell that recruiter what you're planning on doing, that you have a partner that you're close to who's working at this firm and you'd like them to refer you. And for example, your recruiter should be able to give you objective feedback like, yes, you should do that. And that will help your candidacy. Because I know if, our candidates come to us asking about that, we would tell them, like, yes, apply through that partner.
Yeah. Last but not least, um, we kind of touched on this, but going through a good recruiter, that recruiter will help tweak your resume. They will do interview prep and they will draft your cover letters. And your friend's not going to do that for you unless they're a really good friend. And, even then, they don't look at resumes day in and day out like we do. They don't, you know, work with candidates on interview prep the way that we do. So that's just my final plug there.
Right. Your friend is not going to draft your cover letter. Um, Unless, just like Becca said, you have found really an amazing friend. Though to be honest, I don't know if I would trust them to draft a cover letter because they probably don't know what they should include. So so
Right.
I don't know if that's like really the best idea. And they're not gonna review your resume and give you red lines or, advocate or prep all your materials or give you cheat sheets for interviews, do mock interview prep. And those are really, really beneficial tools that a good recruiter has and helps you with. And it can make it can make all the difference when you are lateraling.
Totally. Our last 2 candidates both worked with different recruiters before who didn't do all of that, and then when they worked with us, they said our interview prep was invaluable, so shameless plug for Redwood Legal Search Services.
Yeah.
That's all we have for today. As usual, if you have questions, anything you want us to talk about next, please feel free to email us or leave a comment. Till next time.